Consider the next problem. If the damping constant of a free oscillator is given by gamma equals 2 times omega 0, where omega 0 is the natural frequency of the undamped oscillator, then the system is said to be critically damped. Okay, we have seen this condition when we discussed in detail the three cases of a damped oscillator: low damping, under damped, over damped, and critically damped. Okay, this is the critical damping case. Now the first part of the problem is show by direct substitution in the equation of motion that in this case the motion is given by x equals a plus bt times e raised to minus gamma by 2t, where a and b are constants. Okay, we have seen this solution earlier when you can refer to the discussion on the three cases of a damped oscillator and critical damping case. This was the solution. Now here what we have to do is we have to verify that this is the solution by substituting it back in the equation of motion, in the differential equation of motion. So let us do this first and then let us look at the second part. Okay, so the first part is what is the equation of motion of a damped oscillator? Equation of motion is mass into acceleration equals force. What are the different forces? One is the spring force or the restoring force, and then the damping force, right, where b is some constant. So this damping force is proportional to velocity and the direction will be opposite to the direction of velocity. That's why the minus sign there. And in the case of this restoring force also, it is opposite to the displacement, so that is why the minus sign there. Let us take all the terms to the left side. So we have m d square x by dt square plus kx plus b dx by dt equal to 0. Maybe I can write this in the decreasing order of the derivative. So let's divide throughout with mass. So we have d square x by dt square. Next let me write the dx by dt term. So plus v by m dx by dt plus k by m x equal to 0. Okay, I will use the shorthand notation. So x double dot plus b by m. This b by m is we have taken as gamma, where gamma is the damping constant. So we have gamma times x dot, right? Dx by dt is x dot, plus k by m is omega 0 square. Omega 0 is the natural frequency of the undamped oscillator. So we have omega 0 square x equal to 0. This is the differential equation of motion, and in the case of critical damping there is a further condition that gamma is, look at here, gamma is 2 times omega 0, right? So for critical damping, we can say gamma equals 2 times omega 0. So let us put that condition, then we get x double dot plus twice omega 0 x dot plus omega 0 square x equal to 0. This is our equation of motion for a critical damping case. The one above that, this is the general equation of motion for a damped free damped harmonic oscillator without any driving force. Okay, and in the critical damping case, this is the equation of motion. Now we have to show that this particular solution x equal to a plus bt times e raised to minus gamma by 2t is the solution for this. Okay, so let us say, so what is the solution? X equals a plus bt times e raised to minus gamma by 2t, but minus gamma by 2 is minus omega 0. Okay, so instead of gamma by 2 I can put omega 0 because in the critical damping case, because gamma is twice omega 0. So let us find this derivatives. X dot is, we have to do the product rule. So for derivative of the first function we get a is becomes 0, we get b here. So right, b into t, that first derivative is b, then minus omega 0 t is there. So derivative of first function into second function plus first function into derivative of second function. So minus omega 0 e raised to minus omega 0 t. Okay. we can arrange it uh, like this. mm, we have a e raised to minus omega 0 t we can take out, so we have b minus a plus bt times omega 0, then this term we can take out, e raised to minus omega 0 t. Okay, this is correct, b minus a plus bt times omega 0, right? This is x dot. Now find x double dot. Okay, again derivative of the first function, the second function, so this time b becomes 0, and in the other term we have only minus b times omega 0, right? Minus a times minus, you can open the bracket, there are two negative terms, minus a times omega 0, first derivative, next derivative will be 0, and you have minus b times omega 0 times t, so first derivative you get minus b times omega 0 into e raised to minus omega 0 t, plus the next term is first function into b minus a plus bt omega 0, this times minus omega 0 e raised to minus omega 0 t. Okay, so let us take on common terms outside. So I think minus omega 0 e raised to minus omega 0 t is common, we can take it outside. So x double dot equals in the first term, when minus including negative sign, minus omega 0 e raised to minus omega 0 t is taken outside, what is remaining is b, plus in the second term the terms in the square bracket, that is b minus a plus bt times omega 0. Okay, this multiplied by the term that is taken outside is minus omega 0 e raised to minus omega 0 t. Okay, and this is equation 3. So let me just renumber these equations. The equation of x is number 2, and so x dot is 3, and x double dot, let us number it as 4. Okay, now what we have to do is, let us substitute equation 2, 3 and 4 in equation 1. Okay, and we want to see how so we will substitute x dot and x double dot in equation 1 on the left hand side, and see if the left hand side, the terms in the left hand side add up to 0. Okay, then it means that x is the solution. I mean equation 2, the x given by equation 2 is the actual solution of this equation of motion. So I am calculating the left hand side, okay, of equation 1. So first term is x double dot, so let's substitute that. This is okay, this b plus b becomes 2b, so 2b minus a plus bt times omega 0, and this term minus omega 0 e raised to minus omega 0 t. This is x double dot, then 2 omega 0 times x dot. So what is x dot? This one. Okay, so next term is plus 2 omega 0 times b minus a plus bt times omega 0, and outside you have e raised to minus omega 0 t, right? So 2 omega 0 times x dot is there. X dot we have substituted from equation 3, and from equation 2 you have x. So what is the last term? Omega 0 square times x in equation 1. So plus omega 0 square times x is a, what is that? A plus bt times e raised to minus omega 0 t. Okay, so we have a plus bt times e raised to minus omega 0 t. This is the left hand side. Okay, now okay, what are the, let's add the different terms. Maybe first we will take common terms outside. We have to check whether this is equal to 0. So for that, let us take the common terms outside, then it will be easier. So there is a minus omega 0 e raised to minus omega 0 t here, and there is omega 0 times e raised to minus omega 0 t here, and here also you can take omega 0 e raised to minus omega 0 t outside. Okay. Therefore, let us take omega 0 e raised to minus omega 0 t outside. Okay. So what is remaining? Um, the first term becomes if you take omega 0 e raised to minus omega 0 t outside, the first term becomes negative. So the first term, if you open the bracket, minus 2b plus a plus bt times omega 0. This is the first term. The second term becomes plus omega 0. We have taken omega 0 e raised to minus omega 0 t outside. So there is a 2 outside the square bracket in the second term. We have 2b minus 2 times a plus bt times omega 0, and the last term becomes plus a plus bt times omega 0, the whole thing multiplied by, we have taken 1 omega 0 e raised to minus omega 0 t outside from the last term also. This is it. And you can see that this minus 2b and plus 2b will cancel. There is a plus bt times omega 0 on the last term, and the second term also a plus bt times omega 0. So we have twice a plus bt times omega 0. This will cancel with this one, twice a plus bt times omega 0. So this thing left hand side, the terms in the curly bracket add up to 0. Okay, 0 multiplied by omega 0 e raised to minus omega 0 t is 0, which means that expression for x in the form of equation 2, this expression, okay, this expression, this expression is the correct solution of equation 1. So we have indeed verified that when you substitute this expression in equation 1, you will get 0. Left hand side becomes 0, right hand side also 0. That means the equation is satisfied. Okay, so that is the first part of this problem. Now what is the second part? Second part says that part B, a critically damped oscillator is at rest at equilibrium. It's at rest at equilibrium. So at equilibrium means the initial time. Okay, so this is an initial condition given. At time 0, the position is 0. That's it. Then at t equal to 0, one more data is given. It is given a blow of total impulse. At t equal to 0, it is given, this oscillator is given a blow of total impulse I, capital I. Okay, so two initial conditions are given. At this is at rest at equilibrium, which means at t equal to 0, this is x position is 0. Initial position is 0. Then at initial time, a sudden blow of total impulse I is given to it. Okay, so an impulse is given to it. Sketch the motion and find the time at which the displacement starts to decrease. Okay, we have to sketch the display expression for displacement. This one we have to sketch. Okay, and you can see that it contains a, last time I think we have not plotted this one. You can see that there is a linear there is a part, this a plus bt increases linearly with time, and this exponential part decreases linearly with time. Okay, no, it's exponential part decreases exponentially with time, e raised to minus omega 0 t. So there is a linearly increasing part, there is an exponentially decreasing part. So what happens is, initially at the initial for some very small time, the overall displacement increases linearly, but as time increases, this exponential part becomes more predominant, so then it starts exponentially decreasing. So there is a linear increase and then an exponential decrease. So there is some point where the displacement becomes maximum. We have to calculate that time also. So first we have to, if two initial conditions are given, then from the expression for displacement we can evaluate these two constants a and b. So let us do that first. So the given data, initial conditions. Okay, the first one is at t equal to 0, x equal to 0. Position, it's at rest at equilibrium. Second point is at t equal to 0, Okay, the impulse given I. So let us consider this second point a little detail. What is meant by an impulse? Okay, we know that Newton's second law you can write as a force is rate of change of momentum, a differential equation. Now let us rewrite this as an integral equation. Then suppose suppose a force is given for a small time interval dt. So we can write this as dp by dt into dt. Then let us integrate this on both sides from an initial time 0 to a later time t. So integral 0 to t f dt equals right side integral 0 to t dp by dt into dt. Now the integrand on the right hand side is nothing but a small change in momentum. Okay, rate of change of derivative of momentum with respect to time into a small interval of time means a small change in momentum. Therefore, this quantity on the left hand side integral 0 to t f dt is equal to momentum at the time t minus momentum at the initial time. So change in momentum. Now this quantity on the left hand side, this is called impulse. That is integral of time integral of force over a period of time is called impulse. So impulse is equal to what? Change in momentum. Impulse is equal to change in momentum. So there is normally we understand impulse as a large force applied for a very short interval of time, but that is not needed. So see, let us look. Impulse is in general it is the time interval of the force over some period of time. That period of time can be very small or it can be large. So this time integral, there can be two posts. Suppose we are integrating from an initial time 0 to a final time t. Then the left hand side you can have two physical situations. That means so it is time integral of force over a period of time. Suppose this force is acting for a very short interval delta t in between. So here there is a force, a large force, some force is applied F for a very short period of time. So that means the other time periods in this interval does not have any contribution. There is no force here. Okay, so force is equal to 0 here. Here also force is equal to 0. So there is no force for a large period of time, but there is a force for a small interval of time in this time interval. Then left hand side automatically reduces to f delta t. So this is the usual definition that is given to impulse, a large force applied for a short period of time. But actually the left hand side you can have another way. A small force you can apply for a long period of time. Okay, so impulse in general is a time interval of force over a period of time, and that's equal to change in momentum. So this expression is same as this expression here is the integral form of we can say Newton's second law. Okay, this is the differential form of Newton's second law. Force is equal to rate of change of momentum. This is the corresponding integral equation. Okay, now let's come back to our problem. Here it's a large force applied for a short period of time. Here, impulse. So impulse is equal to change in momentum, and here the blow is applied for a time at the initial time, right? So we can say that initially the body is at rest. At the first initial condition is at time 0 the body is at equilibrium at x equal to 0. It is at rest at equilibrium. Then it means that there is no initial momentum. There is no momentum before we apply the impulse. So that we can say that impulse is equal to the momentum at the time 0. That is mv. Okay, mass into velocity at the initial time, at time 0. Because there is no prior momentum. Impulse is change in momentum. But here what happens is the impulse is the force that impulse is the force for a short interval of time that imparts the momentum here. There is no prior momentum. So we can say impulse is equal to change in momentum, which is equal to the momentum gained by the oscillator at the time 0. Okay, so we can say in terms of x, I can say impulse is equal to mx dot at the time 0. Okay, so these are our initial conditions. Let us apply these initial conditions now. So then our general expression for the displacement at any time is a plus bt e raised to minus omega 0 t, where a and b are constant. Okay, now at time 0, okay, what is x of 0? X of 0 equal to 0. It's at equilibrium, I mean it's at equilibrium at initial time, and it is at rest also. Then we can say this gives, you put time equal to 0 here, what you get, a plus 0, right, e raised to minus omega 0 times 0, right, that the exponential part becomes 1. So what you get, we get a is equal to 0. Okay, this quantity is equal to 0, which means a is equal to 0. So at initial time, if you put the condition that this is in equilibrium position at the initial time, then what you get is a is equal to 0. Okay, then the next condition at time, we have to take x dot in order to evaluate that. Okay, so let us find out x dot at any time t. So what is x dot? The derivative of the first function, what you get is b e raised to minus omega 0 t plus bt times minus omega, derivative of the second function is minus omega 0 e raised to minus omega 0 t. Take e raised to minus omega 0 t and b also outside, then we have 1 minus omega 0 t b e raised to minus omega 0 t. This is x dot at any time t. Now let us see what happens at initial time. At time equal to 0, an impulse I is given, right? Impulse is equal to change in momentum, but initial momentum is 0 because the particle is at rest at the initial time. So initial momentum is 0. So that means we can say put impulse is equal to momentum at the time 0. So at t equal to 0, what you can say is that I is equal to mx dot at the initial time, which means x dot at the initial time is equal to I by m. Now from the above equation, what is x dot at the initial time? What you get? What you get is 1 minus omega 0 into 0 and b e raised to minus omega 0 into 0. Okay, this is x dot, that's equal to I by m. So all the other terms will go. What you get is b is equal to I by m. So we get a equal to 0 from the first initial condition, and from the second initial condition we get b is equal to I by m. So what is the expression for xt? So the position at any general time t is a is 0, b is I by m. So I by m into t e raised to minus omega 0 into t. Okay, so how do we plot this? When you plot this, it looks like this. Put omega 0 t along the x-axis and x of t along the y-axis. Okay, so it is initially it increases linearly and then it starts decreasing, something like this. So there is a position, there is a time at which it becomes maximum. Okay, so let us calculate the time at which it becomes maximum. So that can be calculated by differentiating this expression. Okay, so what you get as dx by dt, I by m, derivative of the first, I by m is a constant, so we get I by m, then the first function, this we can take out. The first function is t second function is e raised to minus omega 0 t. So what you get is the derivative of first function 1 e raised to minus omega 0 t plus t into derivative of the second function minus omega 0 e raised to minus omega 0 t, like this. Now take e raised to minus omega 0 t also outside. So what you get is 1 minus omega 0 t. When this yeah, that is the derivative. Then you put at t equal to some tm, dx by dt equal to 0. Okay, at the time where the displacement becomes maximum, dx by dt equal to 0, and these terms here is non-zero. I by m is non-zero, e raised to minus omega 0 t is also non-zero. So the only possibility is that 1 minus omega 0 t is equal to 0 when t is equal to some tm, we can say, or we can say omega 0 t has some suffix m. That suffix corresponds to the time at which the displacement becomes maximum. So what is this time at which the displacement becomes maximum? 1 by omega 0. Okay, or we can say that from here you can say that omega 0 tm is equal to 1. In the graph we have plotted omega 0 t along the x-axis, so its value is 1 here when it is maximum. Okay, so this is the general this is the behavior of a critically damped oscillator in this case. You can notice that the value of b does not have any role here. B is simply I by m here. Okay, so this particular behavior comes is possible when just the first initial condition is satisfied. Okay, this is the general expression for a critically damped oscillator. And if a is equal to 0, then it satisfies this condition that time becomes 1 by omega 0, or omega 0 t becomes 1. It becomes its amplitude becomes, or displacement becomes maximum, and then it exponentially decreases. Okay, so only condition needs to be that a is equal to 0. That means that initial position, it should be in equilibrium. Initial position should be equilibrium. At time 0, the position should be 0. Then from the expression it is clear that capital A is equal to 0. Once capital A is equal to 0, then automatically this condition is satisfied, whatever be the value of capital B. Anyway, capital B is a constant. So whatever be its value, this condition can be satisfied. You can verify that. Okay, this expression will be simply bt e raised to minus omega 0. So you put a equal to 0 here, you get bt e raised to minus omega 0 t. If you consider this as bt raised to minus omega t and b take outside, then you will it will satisfy the same relationship. Time maximum will occur at the time 1 by omega 0. Okay, or the maximum occurs at the angle omega 0 t equal to 1. Okay, no, it's not the angle. Omega 0 t equal to 1. We cannot interpret it as the angle because there is no oscillatory motion here. Okay, so maximum occurs at omega 0 t equal to 1, or simply maximum occurs at the time tm equal to 1 by omega 0.